A while back, while looking through my local used game store, I came upon this thing, and it looks like a 64. It's got a Super Nintendo controller port right there, and a Nintendo controller port right there. Originally, when they had announced this thing, they were going to have a 64 controller port on the front as well. Why they didn't, I don't know. I imagine there would have to be a lot more internals in this. Maybe it cost a lot more to manufacture and research how to and develop how to make something like that. So that's why they made it like a 64, because the newest thing that they were going to have on this would be the 64 controller port in the front. But what is this thing? It's an adapter to the Wii. At least that's what it says, and that's what everybody would use it for. Oh, it's torn up. Let's see if I can get it together. 2-in-1 retro adapter for Wii, and it supports kids in need. Maybe, I don't know. I don't give them money directly, so who knows where it goes. It's in a bunch of different languages. I can barely read English. Throw that there. So this thing, I was wondering. I don't play the Wii hardly ever. I have like 5 of them in my garage. We just even upgraded from the Wii U to the Switch. So the Wii doesn't get a whole lot of use as far as the Wii U or the Wii. Anyway, this is a GameCube controller port right there. And I thought, would this work for the GameCube? It was 20 bucks or so. So let's see if the thing does work. I've got, for aesthetic value, the dog bone controller for the Nintendo. Plug this in. And I've got, bought from the same shop, so I didn't have one. It's a knockoff Super Nintendo controller, which looks an awfully lot like this, the actual Super Nintendo Classic one, and you can't really tell on the camera, but yeah, they do look identical, and it's pretty easy to knock something off. But the weird thing is they have this little notch right there, and this one as well has the notch. I don't know why that is, or I highly doubt that's coincidence, but maybe it has to do with them, I wouldn't say reverse engineering, it's just plastic, but taking the thing apart and seeing what they can do to mimic it. So let's plug this in to my GameCube. Excuse me while I hunt around for a sec. I recently got the Dreamcast. What was it? I got this thing, which I'll do another video on. Plugs to the serial port, and I've got the same card in there with all my GameCube files. So let's pop that out. Put that down. Plug that in to the adapter. Alright, let's turn it on. Oh well, it does actually work. So I get to focus in here. Or not. Now booting the service disc. Individual tests. I don't need to do hardware. Accessory tests. Controller test. This is going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to pass everything. A works as A. B works as B. Up, down, right, left. Start, and select is often Z. Well, it says failed. It didn't actually fail. What you're supposed to do with this is go through X, Y, A, B, and go through everything. And then it will tell you if the GameCube controller worked. But this, I'm throwing stuff. This obviously is not a GameCube controller. It's just using the adapter as a test. So we'll go through it once again quickly. You can match up what's going on the screen. Again, select the Z. It seems to be pretty responsive, but again, it's going to say failed because I didn't press the X button because there is none on this. Now let's open up that Super Nintendo controller. I'm being pretty angsty here. That's actually a decent length of cord on this thing. That's a good number of feet on here. I'm plugging it into the Super Nintendo adapter. Unplugging Nintendo one. Oh, B. Oh, apparently you can still use this stuff when it's been failed. Now this won't attest for this thing working, but if it does work with the adapter, then that means this and the adapter are both working. So A on that. Up, down, left, right. Z for select. Start. Oh, there we go. X. Oh. I don't have rumble, so that's not going to work. Y button to stop the rumble. Start. B. A. Up. Right. Down. And my directions mixed up. That I can't do because I do not have that bit. Anyway, it seems to work very well, actually. Let's test it with some games. And it's interesting to note that I have not seen this in any GameStop. I have only seen this in a couple of used game stores which I frequent, like old retro stuff. I haven't seen it new. They don't seem to sell it new because I think if somebody buys it, they probably keep it. It's a newer-ish product. But I've never seen it in a GameStop or like some nationwide place. It's just been my local used video game stores. And again, never used, so you buy the thing. This one seems to work just fine. But this is not working. Power down, power on. That is not good. Unplug the Nintendo Dogbone controller back in and see if that gonna work. Oh, and it does. So that's working just fine. Yeah. Circa is not. Oh, that is working now. No idea what the deal is. Maybe I didn't have it plugged down all the way. This. No, again. This thing always seems to boot in PAL, which is a bit odd, but then it works just fine. Let's try. Let's go with NES first. And I'm going to turn the volume down or just mute it because I'm not sure about YouTube's rules on audio. But I know video you can't do compilations of other people's stuff anymore. You can't use stuff without permission. Video is pretty straightforward. Audio is a bit tricky. Can't find the mute, so I'll just down it. I just don't want to play something I'm going to get in trouble for. Alright. NES. Put the emulator. And hopefully it does load. I've played Metroid on this before, so why it's not working, I've got no idea. I'll have to boot it over yet again. You guys like watching me boot stuff over and over, right? This stuff doesn't like to work. There we go. So, well, we've got Metroid on here, and that's been injected into the emulator. So let's try that. Let's see how responsive it is here. Press start. And we all know this music, just pretend it's playing in your head. It's a tiny bit laggy. Just a bit. Yeah, it's a bit laggy. It's not bad if you can adjust for human latency, the latency with the person. I'm sure it'd be fine. I mean, it's not the best, so I'm kind of being laggy here. Now with the GameCube controller, this emulator actually works pretty good. I mean, the emulator always works fine, but the controls work a little bit better. Emulator options. Now the buttons aren't even working. So I don't know, maybe this thing is a hit or miss. But for 20 bucks, I mean, I had to see if it worked or not. Let's try this again. And nothing wants to work right now. Maybe this thing is not the best product. Oh man. After jamming buttons and praying to Shiva, seem to work. Down, down, down. This thing is... Oh, it's freezing or what the hell is going on? Buttons, as you've seen, have been sporadic. Alright, I'm going to pull the disc out. Say a prayer. In my head. Put it back in. Oh, hurrah. Buttons are responsive. There we go. Super Mario. Let's try that. Well, it takes this time. Go raid the fridge and have a beer. There we go. Ka-ching. That's me hearing sounds in my head. Seems to work just fine. Come on. We've all seen this. The buttons on this thing seem a bit spongy at first, like during like a half press, but they pop back very well and they're very tight. So this as a replacement controller, I would actually recommend this. I got it for 13 bucks. That's nothing. That's a couple gallons of gas. Oh wow. I can't tell if that's the emulator. I'm watching. I'm not watching the screen. Or if this is actually. Press right. Or if this is actually the controller. I doubt it's the controller. It's probably the device itself. Hard to get both these in the shot. I don't know. Maybe it's my emulators actually. The product seems to work. Seems to work okay. And when I did it with the service disc, it seemed pretty responsive, like right away. It might just be the emulators. I got no idea. When I use my Hori pad, my Super Nintendo one, seem to work just fine. This guy, which has a GameCube end. So what I'm going to do is plug this thing into the GameCube itself and see if there's any delay here. That way we can rule out the device or the emulator itself. Oh man, something wonky is going on. This is not even working at all. Nothing. Do one more boot up. If you're bored by now, I do not blame you. We'll try Super Mario Brothers again. Come on. Alright, now we can see if the leg is actually the device, the adapter, or if it's the emulator. And it's actually lagging now without the adapter. So I would say the adapter works pretty well, especially for, what did I say, 20 bucks I got it for? If you come across this, I would pick it up. Now with, you could use this with a variety of things. You could use it with, you could use it with the GameCube, obviously. You could also use it with the Wii U, because there is the controller ports for GameCube. Sorry, the Wii, there's controller ports. With the Wii U, they've got that USB to GameCube adapter for Super Smash. I don't know if that thing works with the Switch or not. Maybe I'll grab one of those to see, because I just got a Switch. My wife bought one yesterday out of nowhere, so I was pretty happy about that. I might buy one of those things and just test to see. But this thing actually does seem to work okay. I just have a delayed emulator. That is not fun. It is not fun at all. So yeah, enough for watching me play. If you see one of these things, grab it. Like I said, they seem to be in only the used video game stores. Well, at least in my area, which is, if you're in Washington, it's in Tacoma. If you are not from the States, it is near Seattle, because everybody knows where that is. It's a place called Game Over, and also Super Smash Games. Yeah, both pretty cool places. They both have them, but like I said, GameStop doesn't seem to have them, and I don't see why. Maybe they just see no value in why people would buy those, I guess, and most people I don't think would. But this is a run through of if it works or not, and it works okay. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe to see more of my ramblings, and press thumbs down if I suck.